monthly business women meeting. So we're just going to talk about today about finances. So just talking about beliefs that we might have been brought up with or were conditioned to believe as far as relationship with money. So basically wanted to know, like, what is something you were taught? Like, some people might have been taught, like, money is the root of all evil, and that might affect the way your relationship with money. So I'm just basically asking, what were you taught about money that you no longer believe, or that you had to change in your life, as far as your relationship with money? Does that make sense? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's a good point about the, money being the root of all evil. Mainly because I think that often when people grow up in like religious settings, that money can often be used as a tool for furthering maybe that ministry or the needs of that, organization or pastor or whatever, but not really a lot of support for self-sufficiency and ways in which you can invest and actually, benefit in a way that's going to be good for you and your family. So I think that mindset is very different. I think that there should be more of a focus on building your own resources and creating a legacy for your family, so that you then can invest in whatever you decide to invest in from there. So that would be one of the things that I would say is a different.
So is that something that you were able to do? Is that something that you're doing now as far as like investing and like leaving a legacy? Like what are you doing now as far as like with your finances?
I think that one of the limitations for a lot of people who may shy away from investing is maybe looking at their finances and being in the belief system that they can't put something aside because maybe they are barely making ends meet or they have other kind of financial responsibilities. But I think we can often overlook like just the investment of knowledge and taking in like how to invest or how to create more money and more revenue for yourself, so you can put yourself in that position, especially if you're coming from maybe a background where you didn't get that, those weren't the values that were instilled with you with money management and understanding that. So one of the ways to create the legacy is just learning from my mistakes and just making sure that my kids are learning along with me. And whether I have, whether I'm in the best financial situation or not, it's a learning opportunity for all of us, and making sure that there is kind of like this family or village mentality where if I got it, then everybody has it. We kind of work to make sure that everybody is covered and everyone's together. So I think maybe that's where some of my mindset has changed. Just because you may not have it financially doesn't mean that you don't position yourself and educate yourself so that you can be in the position to do so.
Okay. So that's what I was going to ask. So what are you teaching your children about finance?
Yeah. I don't know. Khalees, what are you learning? I mean, essentially just, tapping into free resources, whether it's through the library, whether it's through their employer. We have conversations where we will sit as a family and we talk about resources and money in a way that, maybe we may not have done before. I think I'm very transparent about, the cost of living and groceries and all of that, and helping them to understand what it looks like, creating that list of items that they need, their needs and necessities versus their wants. So that's the way that I would say it.
Okay. All right, so we talked to, we'll ask Khalees. This is her daughter, Khalees. So what has your mom taught you about finance?
I think essentially she just teaches one, pay your bills, stay on top of stuff. Like a lot of times their bills are non-negotiable. So if you owe people money, and also be aware of where you're owing money. I think the general approach would just be awareness.
Okay.
Knowing what you need to do what your priorities are, where you want to be aware of all of that, so that every decision that you make towards your money all goes towards your end goal.
Okay. So what about like credit cards or debt?
So I actually was introduced to credit cards and the concept of that through the programs, like financial fitness programs that I've been through. I knew of credit, but since it's such a complex conversation, it really wasn't anything that clicked. Like, I'm not going to say I didn't have these conversations, but just off the top of my head, I know I didn't know anything prior to going through actual training and figuring out how I can make credit work for me.
Okay.
And I know she tried to tell me, I just didn't think it made sense. I was like, why would I ever want to be in debt?
Right.
So the whole concept of credit was just like, so I can choose to leave that alone.
Right.
But now I understand the actual importance of credit and how to make it so I'm not just in debt. Like, I can be $20 in debt and still have really good credit.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's good. Who wants to go next?
So speaking on things that we were taught that we've moved away from, a couple that come to mind, because my parents were very financial savvy for the time period for sure, and ingrained some things in us, but one of them was not to use the credit cards on things that you poop out. I was raised not to use it on restaurants and so forth, and while in hindsight at that time, yeah, that's a good thought process. We're in an age where you're earning points on everything. So I've learned that it's good if I can charge it all, then just pay it off at the end of the month. I would rather do that and earn the points and make my credit cards work for me, as opposed to just paying for food direct on my debit card, because I don't get points that way. Right. Pay on my credit card, pay it off my debit card, now I earn points I can use to travel or to buy more food. Another one was to save 10% of your check and don't touch it. Saving is definitely important, but the reality is that money is not growing for you like it needs to, and it's just sitting in your savings. So there needs to be other ways of income. You need to do more with making, again, the money work for you. Otherwise, that money sitting there, you're actually losing it because it's not keeping up with the inflation.
Right.
So those are just two things that at the time were sound advice, but as time has progressed, I've had to kind of veer away from and change. And then for my son, it's just making sure that he focuses on, right now he's only 10, focusing on finding a career path that he enjoys, that is fruitful, one that's necessary, not one that's a commodity, that is, it's going to be a need for it. So he's into science and technology, so that's where his main focus is. But then also to find him a hobby, something he enjoys that can also make him money. And for him right now, that's also still science. He wants to write science books.
Okay.
But at least he has, the mindset that I need multiple ways to make money, and I want to be able to enjoy it. But again, it needs to have longevity. It'd be nice if he could go, I don't know, be a fitness instructor or own a store or a restaurant, but those aren't necessarily things that stand the test of time. And so I just want to ingrain in him something that would actually be a need for humanity forever.
So this is my oldest daughter, Keisha. My youngest daughter, Nia. So she was talking about me, about the advice. But yeah, so things do change. So knowing that, so how are you teaching, what are you teaching him about saving or, about money?
Still to save, not to spend all the money that he gets as soon as he gets it, which he's doing well, because I was giving him money and didn't realize he still had some. So he's learning to do that. But honestly, I have not put that much into his finances, him being that young. His Nana did write a book about saving, so he has that autographed in his room that he reads. But that's where we are currently. As he gets a little older and I really try to incorporate him in my business and making money consistently, I think we'll focus more on the finance part. But for now, he's still mostly being a child.
Yeah. So now that, like you said, like savings account and leave your money sitting there, what are you doing differently as far as that aspect?
Well, like paying attention to my 401k and just researching others. So now I actually kind of have multiple businesses that play on top of each other. And really, I'm trying to work toward investing more in myself. I haven't gotten there yet. But yeah, just using my money for 401k, putting more in my 401k, using that to as opposed to pulling from my savings if I need to, because my job will match that funds. So I put money in there, and I'm getting an additional 6% on top of wherever I move the money around. If I do that well, because that's stocks and bonds and so forth. So we also have to pay attention to that. But I know I can do more. It's a matter of time.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
As far as unlearning, I feel like I had to unlearn being compliant. Unlearn. We used to always make money off of doing our chores, right? Which I think is great because we did learn how to keep a clean house. And I realized that people didn't grow up with that. But and we also learned how to make money in the process. I remember, going to get a job, looking for jobs at 15 and pretty much keeping a job. However, now I'm realizing that men work as far as a job for somebody else is not my thing. So learning how to make money while I'm asleep and to always have residual income and not having to work for every penny that I make. And I feel like we also kind of had a lack mindset. And that scarcity mindset. And now we have an abundance mindset that has brought in so much more income and growth and abundance and love. So, really just changing the whole mindset and working smarter, not harder.
Right.
And that I don't have to work for every penny that I make.
Okay. So you're not working. You don't have a job, a 9 to 5.
I do not have a 9 to 5, but I do have businesses and real estate.
Right. Okay. So that's something you had learned to get investment in real estate and have that money work for you.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And stocks, stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Life insurance.
Yeah. Good.
Becoming my own bank. That's what we both working on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Becoming our own bank. I am all for that. Pass it to my niece over here.
Well, I don't really have a lot to say, but I will start with just growing up. I would say something that I have to kind of learn from was we weren't really taught, budgeting, anything about finances, not in school, not at home. I think growing up in poverty, my mom, she was a single mom for the most part, so it was just kind of like trying to just live paycheck to paycheck. So she just basically did the best she could. She did a good job, so it was just basically living paycheck to paycheck. If you had it, it needs to be spent on something, because you got to pay everything. So we weren't really taught like having like a separate account, for emergencies. It just came out of that paycheck. I got to wait for my next paycheck until, I can take care of this car or something like that. So that's something I kind of been learning on my own as an adult. We didn't know much about credit cards, so we had to learn more about that. My first credit card, I think I was probably in my 20s. I didn't know nothing. I was just spending, and I was just happy to have the money. So a lot of the stuff that I'm learning just from people around me, like and whoever else I come across. And then also I learned from trial and error. You know, like my first few credit cards, I think I was just spending, I'm not thinking about I'm gonna have to pay this back, but I was paying it back little by little. But I think those just kind of went out the window. But they got paid, but they got closed. So but it was a trial and error is basically what I'm trying to say. So just knowing that, if you work, like you said, work smarter, not harder, you can have your money work for you. And I didn't know about a whole lot of stuff, so I'm still learning as I go. and I want to learn more so that I can, you know, teach my kids, you know, anything that I learn, because I can't teach them something I don't know.
Right.
So I'd rather be like the trial and error, and then that way I can teach them, because I don't want them to make the same mistakes, you know, especially for me too, because I think I kind of sometimes, you know, like kind of paycheck to paycheck. Well, lately I don't know, but at some point, you know, that's kind of what I was doing, you know, paycheck to paycheck, not really putting aside money, you know, being able to make sure that you have emergency funds, or even like the life insurance thing. And so that's that. But I'm learning as I go. Everybody, everything.
So it sounds like with your children, you're trying to break that cycle. You want to teach them to do better.
Yeah. So pretty much starting with my 13-year-old, because she's getting older, you know, and she has a lot of questions. And even though she still don't really know the value of money right now, where she just kind of feel like they just kind of grow on trees, you know, like, I need money, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna buy that. But if she always feels like she's not gonna have to work for it, it's just gonna come right to you back to back, it's just, you know, you're gonna spend it on anything. So I want to try to teach her, you know, the best way possible that, you know, you want to be able to budget. So I'm just trying to do better myself, so I can make sure I'm teaching her. Then we can, you know, teach my youngest ones down the line.
So you and her, y'all talk about finances. Or just when she wants to spend, that's when you talk about finance? Or do you do like a family meeting, talk about finance? Or how do you?
It's mainly just when she wants to spend it on just unnecessary things. Because she just feels like it's just kind of gonna, you know, she's gonna get the money back anyway. Somebody is gonna cash out me something, you know, for no reason at all. Not because I gotta work for it. But I can say this, she did tell me that being over at her grandma's house on her dad's side, she said that sometimes, you know, she'll get paid to do certain work around the house, kind of what you said. So it's teaching her, you know, that she's gonna, you know, get paid if she do this work or do this or do laundry or something like that. So I think that's gonna help a lot as well. So.
And so that's just why I asked the question, because, you know, things do change. Like growing up for me, it's pretty much the same. We weren't taught about money. We didn't talk about money, finances, things like that. My dad did have a good job. He worked in the shop, but as far as budgeting or having emergency funds, I don't know if we ever did. I honestly don't know. It was never taught to us. So it was just things that I had to learn on my own, getting older and things like that. And so I try to teach my children, you know, to do better, you know, versus me having to learn on my own. So I wanted to teach them to do better. And in a way, like the system is geared, or the way we were brought up, it does cause us to have a scarcity mindset and not an abundance mindset. And our view of money has been different. So I just think about like learning about credit cards. I learned about that as an adult. And we were taught not to, you know, when I was learning about credit cards, don't use it, you know, it's just there for emergency. But as Keisha mentioned earlier about learning about the points and the, you know, the benefits of credit, if you spend it on like your bills, your everything thing, and you get credit, or you get rewards for using your credit card. But the key is to pay it off, not, you know, have it accumulate this debt. Because what's the point of having those points or that coming in if you got all this debt that you can't get? So it's just a lot. And I just think that it's important to teach the next generation to do better. So I just think about my grandkids. I want them to, I just think we have to break this cycle in the family, not pass on the trauma for money or whatever, but to actually teach them to have a healthy relationship with money. And I just think that's important. So that's why I want to teach financial literacy. That's why I wrote the book, just to help with the next generation. Like I said, leave a legacy, teach them to do better. And I just feel like it's very important. So I just wanted to see how you ladies were doing that and what you were teaching, because it does start with us, you know. So I think what y'all talked about was very good and very helpful. And that's why I like it. Thanks for watching.